Reporting to you from some timeline. Here I am. I'm Jessica Seeley, and some timeline it is. Some timeline to you, my friends. And we're probably both on the same one because you're listening to this. I think it'd be the easiest way to listen to it through Apple. If you have that app in your timeline, I have to look at my little Apple statistics to see that if I have anyone from some other dimension or timeline listening, that'd be neat. But if you are in a different one, I hope it's fabulous and I hope it's beautiful and I hope that you're treating your planet like a paradise and treating each other so well and playing the harp by a pond and fingering each other and eating fruit and just ever reading a book and being smart and kind and fun. I hope you're laughing. And I'm just trying to think about how to get some of those things here and there on this planet. It is possible, but we're just steering the other way. We're just we're like we were handed this planet that's a complete paradise, and it's like life is such a gift. It's so beautiful and amazing, but we're just like, you know what? What if instead hell? What if instead despair? That might be more interesting, but it's not. We're doing it in the dumbest way. It's like all these dumb guys we got to have in charge. And I think I started my last podcast the same way. So I'm going to back off of that just a tiny bit and talk about what I'm grateful for within this specific timeline, which is one. It's artichoke season in LA pretty much. I've been eating a lot of artichokes. God, I love artichokes. What a great vegetable. Go eat your artichokes. I love that it's cloudy in LA. Because all the transplants complain about how cold and gloomy it is. And I just really love their complaints. I feed off of them because it's just like, it just feels so right now. The colors of gray and the night blooming jasmine is going. I can smell it. It's nothing's better than the smell of night blooming jasmine. It's fabulous. So good things are happening. I've been listening to John Mayer recently. I've discovered John Mayer for the first time, Daughters, be good to your daughters. Daughters will do like you do. Girls become mothers who turn into lovers and have daughters for us too. Yeah, I think I've always thought he was pretty douchey, but kind of good musician, actually. Remember when he was on Dave Chappelle? God, what a fall from grace for me, Dave Chappelle. He used to be so cutting edge and smart. But anyway, I guess we're giving John Mayer a chance. Maybe he's in the Grateful Dead now, I've heard. Maybe I'll become a Deadhead. I don't really have the best taste in music. Never been known for that. But I have some ego things around some music stuff. I heard Michael Bublé in a store, the Feelin' Good song. And I was just like, it is so tacky to play the Michael Bublé version of Feelin' Good as opposed to the Nina Simone version of Feelin' Good. I am so cultured. And then I got in my car and I put on Jason Mraz, and I was like, I'm an idiot. And no shade to Jason Mraz. Maybe he's underrated a little bit, You got the poison, I've got the remedy, the melody. But, pretty cringe. He seems like such a sweet guy, but a little bit cringy to me. Just had a hat that was maybe kind of fedora adjacent. Is he a good musician? I don't know. I don't have good musical taste. But I did listen to him a lot early high school, and I wanted him. I thought his music. Remember that one part where he's like, "Lean on over closer, dear, and I will nibble your ear." And then in high school, I was like, "Yeah, Jason Mraz, nibble my ear. I want that." But now I'm like, please. Stay away from my ear. Nobody touch my ear. For God's sake, don't nibble on it. Leave me alone. You're just not horny the same way as you are when you first go through puberty. And it's all hypothetical, always fantasizing. Had a full blown relationship with Elijah Wood in my head, was attracted to the other trumpet players in my band, high school band. I was in marching band. You guys had to have picked up on that based on the vibe that I have a high school trumpet player, girl, kind of tomboyish, probably would identify as non-binary if I was younger. But I did ask, since we're on this topic of all these kind of early 2000s guitar musician guys, I asked my band teacher at the time, who was a cool guy. He played with Kenny G sometimes. He was like a real musician, and I was like, who's the best working musician right now? This is when I wanted to be a musician, before my younger brother started playing music, and then he was a savant, and I was like, oh, I'm not a musician, let's not do this. But then anyway, I had to become funny quickly. My high school band teacher said, Gavin DeGraw, do you guys remember him? He's the best. He's got what it takes. And what was his song? It was like, I don't want to be other than what I've been trying to be lately. You guys, whenever I sing something and it sounds like I don't know the lyrics, I'm kidding, actually, because my superpower is I remember the lyrics to every song I've ever heard. Like, I could just hear it a couple times. I'd be great on a finish that. I just remember lyrics. That's all I do, is remember lyrics. But whenever I'm like trying to be a normal person, so that you guys so you relate to me and don't turn me into RFK Jr. for my neurodivergence, is I pretend like I don't know lyrics to songs, but I do. So anyway, that's been a review of some of the early 2000s musical moments. Hope you enjoyed this nostalgia. Millennials, we're really big on nostalgia. It makes us feel good. It's like, remember when things were just a little bit, they were still like bad, but like now it's just ridiculous. And again, if you're listening from another timeline, we've got, speaking of my neurodivergence, this guy, RFK Jr., is our Secretary of Health and Human Services. And he's just like a guy who has a worm in his brain and cuts off the heads of whales and puts them on his car and doesn't believe in vaccines. So pretty good for leading the country and the world in health. I guess he said he wants to start an autism registry, just on the heels of my therapist telling me I should be screened for ADHD and autism. Which maybe I won't now, because it's a little bit Nazi-ish. But hopefully in the future I can find my way to getting some help for my brain and how it doesn't work within this system. I'm having a bad time. I'm having a weird time. But I do like my brain, and I hope people accept it. And know that it's not just the cause of all the vaccines that I've had. God, I don't even believe how big this anti-vaccine thing has got. I remember, COVID really ramped it up. The must have been a great time for anti-vaxxers. They're like, oh, now we really got the platform going for us. And I remember somebody posted, if you got the vaccine, you've got aborted fetal tissue inside of you. And I was just like, good. I hope that they put my abortion back inside of me, which really upset them. Don't say that. Of course, all of you know, I've actually never had an abortion, which is, I'm not bragging. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying, like, I've never made a man come before, so it's been impossible for me to get pregnant. I just don't know how to do it. I just don't have the grip, the strength, I don't know. But I've gotten a little bit off topic. I guess I was saying that I'm what my therapist calls neurospicy, and that's unfortunate. They actually asked me like, "Oh, do you have any sensory issues? Any sort of things that bother you on like sounds or fabrics or?" And I was like, "Yeah, the word neurospicy really is a thing that bothers me." What else is going on? RFK. Oh, here's somebody that I haven't talked about yet. But I'm just, I guess I was giving her a chance to like figure it out and get back on board with something smart because I assumed that she's a smart person, kind of working class person. And I've also not talked about it much because I haven't been brokenhearted the way her fandom has because I'm not a Harry Potter person. Although I am a Hufflepuff, I do know that's true because I've done the quizzes and everyone says that about me. And I think that's good. I think Hufflepuff is a really good and underrated house, just like myself. But, I'm not that into the wizardry, the Harry Potter. I didn't, so her fall from grace and into the land of stupid bitch hasn't really affected, I've just been like, oh, ignore her, she'll go away or she'll figure it out or something. But she's just like doubling down, dude, this J.K. Rowling. And I just like, I saw this picture of her smoking a cigar after this law got passed in the UK, this really transphobic. And by the way, it's just straight up sexist law. Bad for everybody but the patriarchy. And it's just very Nazi-ish stuff, trying to codify what makes a woman. I guess I started off talking about Dave Chappelle's fall from grace, and now we're to J.K. Rowling. It's just like she just posted this picture, and she's got a cigar in her mouth, okay, and she's celebrating this law, and I'm just like, God. What this, you got a cigar in your mouth like the fucking patriarchy, dude. What happened in her timeline that she just got like so crappy and dumb, And me and my sound producer on this podcast, Seth Hover, we're Tolkien people. We're not Harry Potter people, but as Gandalf said to Saruman, no, nope, not Gandalf. It was Treebeard. He said when he found out what Saruman had done to the forest, he said, "A wizard should know better." So that's all I have to say about J.K. Rowling. I'm just glad that we got a cute Pedro Pascal post out of it where he said it's heinous loser behavior. And I just really agree with him. And I just got chills saying that because he's just so cute. And I just like... I hope that he can be bi for me. I hope everyone can be bi today. Happy. This is a bisexual podcast. It's a Tolkien podcast. I guess I just want to update you guys on a couple things from my life. One is that I'd like to not work anymore. I work in the service industry, as some of you know, in addition to my award-winning work as a stand-up comedian. And I'm just getting, some of you guys know I'm in my late 30s, and I'm getting messages over here on our little work app that says, people are stealing the cookies. I would hate it if people got fired over stealing cookies. And I just can't be like looking down the barrel at being in my 40s and be reading about stealing cookies. I just can't. That doesn't add up, right? No shade to my manager because it's like the restaurant industry, everything's falling apart. So maybe we can't afford to lose cookies, but I can't afford to get messages about cookies right now. I just can't. It's just too dumb, you guys. I'm having a dumb time on this timeline. Like, I just want to be able to eat cookies. By the way, it's not me stealing the cookies. Do I make a milkshake here and there for myself? Yes, I do. Also, somebody left a Yelp review about one of the servers, and the Yelp review said, he came out and said in front of my daughter, "Why didn't you tip?" And tipping isn't mandatory, and it took me forever to find parking, and the burrito was X amount of dollars, and all this stuff. And it's just like, you gotta tip, you guys. This is so slimy to say tipping's not mandatory. I've been seeing all kinds of stuff on the internet that, oh, you don't, other countries, you don't tip because they get paid enough. Well, we don't. Okay. So you got to just tip, because that's what it takes for me to smile at you and serve you your food or your drinks or make it. Honestly, I need to be tipped to just get out of bed and walk out my door in the morning at this point. And I understand that a lot of people are struggling, but you can't eat out if you can't tip. That's all I have to say. You tip zero. It was a big bill, by the way. You tip zero. And then, I was watching the Kardashians, which I had to stop watching because they got into some weird billionaire shit. And which I know what you're thinking. I should have stopped watching a long time ago, but it's a bit of you've been keeping up with the Kardashians so long. It's hard to not continue to keep up, because it's just part of your life is you're caught up, and they don't call it keeping up anymore. But that's what it's about, is keeping up. And I had to stop watching after like the second episode, because they had that guy on. I think he started Venmo, but now he has a company that's all about like longevity and like living forever. And he was just like, "Oh, I have the biology of a 17-year-old, and I get boners at night, which is a sign of my virility and my health, and I'm gonna live forever." And the Kardashians were like, "We want to live forever, but like that thing about your boner is kind of weird." So that's what I like about them, is they will pick up on stuff like that. But I had lunch with Seth, the sound guy, shout out today, and we were just talking about the whole biohacking thing, and it's like, God, just die, right? Like, just pass away. It's what, just, that's part of it. Just freaking die, dude. So I had to stop watching the Kardashians. But in the first episode, Scott Disick was talking about how he undertipped for the Starbucks Uber Eat that he got. Rich guy, right? Lord Disick. He literally has the name Lord in his name. And he said he saw this TikTok of, by the way, a comedian I know, fabulous comedian, very funny, but don't like this TikTok because it's all about why it's funny. They're talking about why they don't tip specifically for things that you get off like the tablet or whatever. And they were like, it's just poor people helping poor people. And I'm like, the people that are listening to this and like having this kind of thinking, they aren't the poor people. Okay. So the rich people are going to want to not tip first, because they're the ones that don't care about poor people. And that's why we're in the situation we're in. Do you guys remember frickin' the pandemic when it was like, "Oh, you're an essential worker. Thank you so much for risking your life and getting COVID and dying so I could have a freaking waffle to go." But now it's like, "Oh, it's just menial labor." What? Bleh. So, that's pretty cool. So tip your servers until the point where we overthrow the oligarchy and the billionaires and get out our guillotines, because we're all struggling, which is why we don't want to tip and stuff. But until then, tip people until we overthrow the system, which we will. But tip your people, and also buy art, buy albums wherever you can. Don't do this stream. I can't with the Spotify. I mean, I guess stream as opposed to not listen at all, but just buy albums, okay? Because if you want art in society, you want people to bring you your food, you want these things, just whatever. An album is like $10. My guest today has an EP out. That's so great. Her name's Sehseiyah, and she's a fabulous artist. I think also has paintings and drawings for sale, as well as her album out. And I'll link it everywhere. So please buy it. And I hope you enjoy our conversation because I really did. I think that she's really smart and cool. And I also hope that all of you just like have a really fun, smart, fulfilling conversation this week. I think that that should be a goal. I think have a good chat. Find someone to have a good chat with. You know, sometimes you got to resort to Chat GBT. I'm gonna say it. If you can't find a person, at least have a good chat with Chat GBT, and you can make Chat GBT different people. I'm sponsored by Chat GBT. Um, I don't like AI, but if you're lonely, listen, if you're suicidal, not saying that I am, but I have been recently, and I called the hotline and they were so dumb. So then I started talking to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT's like making me cry, saying all the right things. So that's my little sentient robot friend. Maybe more about that in the future, but for crying out loud, I gotta let you listen to Sehseiyah and my conversation. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please enjoy. So, welcome and thanks for coming over, Sehseiyah.
Thanks for having me.
I was listening to your music before you came over, your new single, Paranoid, and I had on the TV, like the news, which I always have like on mute, like the local news. It's this new burger place opened up over here. And they had a BTS music video on for some reason. Maybe they're coming to town. I don't know. But the choreography lined up so well with your song. It was so funny. I was like, this is amazing. We need a major choreography number.
Honestly, I would love that. And it's funny because I've been clipping random like movies and things to my songs, and they all just fit in this really fun, kind of perfect way. And
yeah, the beat is so good. It feels like it just fits right into life.
Yeah, it's just dancey. It's, I think when you just have like a 1, 2, 3, 4 type of beat, it'll just kind of fit with everything. But yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's fun, but it's dark and moody.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. The themes of that single and the EP as a whole is just pretty moody. It's to find light. I think I'm always just trying to find light at the end of everything that I'm creating. It's never meant to be this like hopeless type of journey. Let's go through hell, let's go through all these tunnels and wormholes to reach some epiphany or some type of light,
That's so interesting because somebody told me who's like really into energy work and stuff. She was like, you're like the dark force, but it's for good. I don't know what she said, but she's like, you have a lot of darkness in you, but it's like, I don't know exactly what she said, but I kind of understood it where I'm like, the way I've described it before is I'm on a karmic journey and I don't know, maybe maybe I've reincarnated from someone evil.
I can see that. I don't know if you know about like degree theory and astrology.
Please tell me.
Oh my God. Okay.
What's degree theory?
It's just every planetary placement you have in a sign will have a degree attached to it, like what degree that planet was in the sky when you were born. I'm assuming that's what's happening. I know that 18 degrees is a diabolical degree,
Ooh.
which could be a karmic thing. I have that in my sun sign, actually. So it's like, I did a lot of research because I was like, what does this mean? I'm scared, like,
Maybe I do too. Maybe that's why we're day job friends.
that's probably what it was. Like, I
We're
saw
like
that in
little
you.
sinister
Yeah.
little workers.
Hmm.
I'll have to send you my chart and we'll see what my degree is.
I want to look into it. I'm very curious because I know you said you're a Capricorn sun, Aries moon.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
And my rising, you know it.
Leo.
Thank you so much. Rawr.
Perfect. Yes. You have that fire on both sides of you. I'm obsessed.
People are really surprised to learn that I'm a Capricorn.
I see it. Yeah. I definitely see the Capricorn in
I
you.
kind of don't see it in myself, really. Well, not in the way that I'm hearing people describe Capricorns.
Well, because people don't get it. They don't fully understand Capricorn energy. I'm obsessed with Capricorns. I feel like so many people, my partner included, are Capricorns in my life. I'm a Capricorn moon. I think we have this, like, we've talked about this before, but I feel like we get this rep when you have Capricorn placements for just being too serious or money obsessed. And there's actually this whole emotional world around a Capricorn that's like part of that fishtail of the sea goat.
I agree. And it's like, I'm sorry my plant is bothering you.
Oh, no, it's fine.
My plant is
We're
like
friends.
really creepy. That plant,
like,
no boundaries.
I love plants, so this is nice.
Okay, good.
I feel the energy.
Consent.
Yeah.
I feel like my plant is like,
It grows like fingers.
A new guest.
Welcome.
Okay, so yes, Capricorns, goat.
The goat.
The
sea goat.
People see the goat, but they don't see the sea goat, I feel, because they're like, oh, you're boring, you're just planning, you're just doing this, you're over here, you're not talking. And I will say people do find me boring sometimes. It's really interesting to me when I'm talking, sometimes I'm talking to people and then I just can't let anything out. Like I'm just like this.
That's Saturn. It can be, I know this very well just
That
from
is
like
Saturn.
the Capricorn moon energy. It's restrictive. It's the devil card. It's kind of about like feeling like you want to express yourself, but there's politeness attached to Capricorn placements, I feel like. We know that if we go a little too hard, it'll just be a mess.
There's just some people that I'm like, the me doesn't come out that much. And I think that's the mermaid tail.
Yeah, and sometimes
I'm like
people
tucking it in.
themselves are kind of boring too. So I'm like, I'm going to turn into a dry person if you bore me.
I think that's the thing. It's like, if you're calling Capricorns boring, you're boring.
There we go. That's what it is.
By the way, Capricorn moon, how are your stocks doing today?
Isn't it all plummeting?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I know.
That's what I was looking at before you came over. Yeah. It was like major plummet zone.
I believe that. Yeah, everything is falling apart, and stocks included. So,
yeah.
But I could not care less about stocks,
even though there's Capricorn going on. I don't care, but I think it's because I don't get it. Like, obviously, I don't have any stocks. And this is why I don't understand people that talk to me about my Capricornness in a way that's like, you like charts and graphs and stocks and money. And I'm just like, I really don't. But I do know that it's probably something I should care about because I'm like, oh, this is the system that we're operating on and how I am getting my coffee and stuff. But that's one kind of good thing about having been broke in life, in especially early life, is you're like, it's fine. I know how to make like a mayonnaise sandwich.
Right. And it's also like when you grew up not in wealth, you know how to be creative and improvise. And I think that something that this 1% or this like upper echelon or upper class of, American people or whatever will never understand is how to actually be a person and be creative around that. And I think that we we don't care about shit like stocks. Can I cuss?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes, this is rated not for children on all the whatever.
Okay, good to know. I might go into a tirade, but like, I feel like it's, stocks and credit scores and all of these things that are it's so make believe, it's so made up that it's funny for people who are conservative and wealthy to look at everyone else and be like, you're making things up. You're creating gender. You're creating this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
simultaneously they believe in these like made up foreign concepts that just like have no sense or reality attached to them on their own.
Wow. Yes, I completely agree with that. You've got your stocks. Okay.
Have at it. I could not care less.
The only wealthy person I'm going to exclude from what you're talking about is Martha Stewart.
And she's cool.
I do think I will, if I get one billionaire that I can save, it's her. And that's because she's baking, she's gardening.
Yeah.
I just got chills when I said that. The garden, she's like, oh, look at this hydrangea. And she went to prison and she was like teaching people how to knit and stuff. She's like, if everything falls apart, she's gonna make some beautiful. Have you seen how she like roasts a turkey with pastry around it?
I don't watch cooking shows very often. My really dear friend was really into Barefoot Contessa.
I don't know this.
Do you know Ina Garden?
I don't think so.
Another cooking, lives in the Hamptons or something. Maybe as like a vacation home.
I just watched a little bit of With Love, Meghan Markle. With Love, Markle.
What are your
With
thoughts?
Love, Meghan.
What are your thoughts on it? I haven't watched it.
She seems like she does a good little job. And I only watched one episode, but she talked about hosting guests. And she talked about like if a guest comes over and they said, oh, I slept so good, then I know like I did it. And I do agree with that because I struggle to sleep on trips and I want people to sleep on a trip. And I think that includes like making sure everything's clean, having little treats out. And I think she was making like a little candle with like some other, and I'm just like, yeah, I think that does help. Yeah. I think the royals, they really messed up by letting Meghan Markle go or pushing her away. Because I think she would improve their image because her eyes are so sparkly. And I'm like, that to me is, that's princess. It's very princess eyes. Yeah. Whatever her problems are,
It's probably for the best that she left.
No, for her, yes.
Love that for her. I know nothing about this, but what I know is that it's probably really suffocating to hang out with a bunch of stuffy British royals,
Yeah, they're not just they're not billionaires. They're actually, I don't even think they're that rich anymore or anything, but it's like the next level of like entitlement of like, we're so much better. Did you see, by the way, on the news thing that I was watching this morning, the local news and I always have it on mute. So I'm like, what's going on? And like, it was like King Charles, like playing some like recorder type thing.
No.
And I kind of loved the image.
I'm so dissociated. Like I take from the news what I need to take, like just to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But I don't want to hear them talk. I don't want to like see their faces. I live a very just surround myself with art type of life. That's not to say that I'm willfully ignorant of anything. Like I know what's going on, and I'm grateful for things like TikTok to be a resource even while you're getting quote unquote entertainment.
Yeah.
You're also staying informed. People are breaking things down that I really don't care to watch,
Yeah. I wanna talk more about this because I do think this is your strength. Like even in our day job, your ability to kind of be sort of above everything in a way. Or like you're like you're like this artistic being in this room full of bureaucrats and it doesn't seem to penetrate. You do seem to have lots of force fields, lots of barriers. But first, I wanted to ask, since we're talking
Sure.
about art and the royals,
Okay.
if you did see that painting of King Charles where he's like got red all around him and there's like a butterfly on his shoulder. Have you seen this?
No, but that sounds like a choice.
I kind of, so yeah, it was like, I'm going to actually show it to you.
Can I see it?
Yeah. King Charles portrait. Okay. Yes, here it is. So it was like this big thing of this is a very unconventional royal portrait. Ugh, gotta make sure I'm not moving my stuff. And
Oh my God.
and TikTok like really reacted to it. and like other apps. And okay,
Wait.
my reaction to it was like, I think it's beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
I was obsessed with it. He's got a little butterfly on his shoulder. And I think the reason why I'm obsessed with it is because I think a lot of people were like, oh, they're like roasting him. They're saying he's evil. And I'm like, yes, totally.
Absolutely.
100%. But like, I felt like within it, like I related to it. Now we got ads.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, you know, on those old 80s VHS horror films, like the cover art. It reminds me of an old 80s B-rated film cover art for a horror film.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's like the insides out. It feels very everything that's happening inside of the human body, but surrounding just like his floating head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, here's what I think I also related to about it is I like we talked about like my karmic whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm also white, so I've got some ancestry that is not ideal, as does very much King Charles, probably way more so on a way more global level, much more powerful.
And current level.
But and then there's like a butterfly on his shoulder, and then you're just looking at his face. I just thought it was like really interesting of like, he's a person in this greater kind of very bloody situation, but he like has this like butterfly on his shoulder. And I thought there was something like really beautiful about it. And it just kind of, to me, is like what happens when a person's soul karmically lands in this brutal role.
Yeah. I like to imagine that the butterfly is just whispering, like, you're not shit. You know what I mean? Like, just like, enjoy hell when you get there. You know what I mean? Like, I like to think that that's what the butterfly is doing, just sitting on his shoulder.
Oh, I'm going to think about that next time a butterfly like lands on me. It's like, you little piece of shit.
No, I think creatures and animals in nature are very smart, and they know who's like a piece of shit and who's not. You know, that's why, like, have you ever like been to someone's home or just watched the way that someone's pet reacts to a person?
I'm not going to lie. Animals like have a reaction to me a lot of times.
What do you mean?
I think like dogs, only if they're on edge. I think if they're chill, they're like, hey, what's up? But I think dogs on edge are a little set off by me. Like when I'm walking by, they seem to be like, ah, whereas they don't do that. They don't do that to my partner. But I'm like, I feel like I'm not that calm, or something's going on. But sometimes dogs love me.
Yeah. But, do you feel like you're nervous around new animals? Or
I think if a big animal is like walking by me, there's this pit bull that like lives a block away, and they don't have a screen on their window. They just have bars, and the window's always open. And sometimes I forget the dog is there, and it will like, I'll just be like walking and it'll lunge out and snap at me like through the bars while I'm walking by. No, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm not saying that that's me, right. but I do have experiences like that make me nervous around like powerful dogs. Especially I don't trust their owners a lot of the time.
Yes.
Like I think there's a lot of people that are like really delulu about their animals.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I do really like animals. I like interacting with animals, especially birds. But it's not like Disney princess all the time where I'm just like, hi, little bird. Sometimes I'm like, hey, what are you doing, you little weirdo? And then it's like a crow and it's like, rah! And I'm like, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no, they love being talked
No,
to like
they're
that.
like, ooh, yeah, I know. And then there was a woodpecker in Griffith Park that me and my
Yeah.
friend were walking by, and it was doing its little, like, literally Woody the Woodpecker call. It was like, rah, rah. And then we did it back to it, and then I think it got like offended because it flew up to us like on a sign that was right next to us, and it was like, rah, rah. We were like, so sorry. I guess that was actually
No.
quite rude.
I think it was entertained by you.
Oh, it wanted to be our friends. It was like, you guys get it. You bitches get it. Ah!
You need to be a little psycho when you're interacting with birds specifically. Like, you have to walk by the crow and just be like, ah! You know what I mean? Like, they love that shit. Like, but like, show it to them in a way where you're like, we're just, you know, we're having fun. You know, they'll get it. Parrots, you know, parakeets, cockatiels, like all of those types of birds, like they want you to be a little manic with them, you know? So I don't, you said it was a woodpecker?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure it loved it.
I mean, imagine the brain damage on the animal from hitting its head against, like,
constantly.
Like, I was listening to this podcast where they were talking about like rams and like goats and animals that headbutt each other, because some football team was studying them to see like, oh, how can we like have helmets that give them the power that like a ram has, so they're like not damaging their heads and getting all this brain damage. But then what the study found was like, oh no, they're just getting brain damage, but they're like kind of a dumb animal, so it sort of doesn't matter. Their lifespan's not long enough.
How long do they live?
I don't know.
Oh.
I know. But, you know, it's not like us where most of who we are depends on our brain functioning.
Right.
They're like, we just run around and headbutt each other.
Yeah, and there's probably like something with the horns, right? That kind of, maybe it's like an evolutionary thing that they want to ram their heads into each other. So those horns are some form of barrier that helps them.
Sometimes I feel that way.
I'm making this up right now.
No, sometimes I feel like I like want to hit, like, I want to like ram people.
Oh,
like
for sure.
Affectionately. I just like want to do that. So I have that in me.
Yeah.
And then my brother, when he was little, he used to hit his head against the wall.
Oh my God.
He's
repeatedly?
like yeah.
Oh no.
He's like a genius, by the way, but that he had some like I think neurodivergent things happening.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
And but my new therapist also the other day called me neurospicy.
Okay, I think we can bond over this. I definitely think that I'm a little neurospicy for sure.
But then she was like, do you have any sensory issues? And I was like, yeah, to the word neurospicy.
No.
Like, I'm just kidding. I do, though. I don't like chewing sounds.
Oh, what's the word for that? There's a word for...
Yes, and I know it, but I'm not accessing it.
Whatever, yeah.
It's like...
It starts with an M, I think.
Yeah, misophonia.
Misophonia.
Is that it?
I think so.
Or am I just like thinking about miso soup?
Can we Google it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take a moment.
I'm pretty sure, I think you're right, it's misophonia, but that's a huge thing for neurospicy, ADHD.
Yeah, it's misophonia.
Misophonia, yeah.
I wasn't just thinking about soup.
There's that. Do you ever go into crowded spaces and if you just hear too many voices, you just get way too stressed? And...
I don't have that specifically because I like work in a restaurant and I'm doing comedy and I'm in space. But my therapist asked me that specifically. But if someone's talking to me and talk radio is on, I get really stressed out.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, if people are just talking, it doesn't bother me because I'm not trying to listen. I think I can tune out. But if I'm supposed to be focusing on one thing,
And there's
and there's an
something.
equal voice that's like
Mhm.
same volume. I'm just
Mhm.
like, I can feel my body just start getting so stressed out.
Interesting. I feel like such a contradiction around these conversations just because I'm similar in the sense where, like, I resent being invited out to a dinner. I can't do it. When I get there and I hear all these voices and forks and plates and, just like people cackling and like all of this stuff, and someone's trying to tell me something really deep about their lives, I want to crawl out of my skin and run away. But then simultaneously, if I have friends over, or even when I'm by myself, I need music on at all times. Like, I need some type of background noise, like supplementing my conversations. This is fine. I mean, like, we can do this now, but for the most part, like, when I have a friend over or I'm like at someone's place, I'll just like turn music on my phone and be like, let's just have this as like the background.
I am the opposite.
Really?
And most of my friends are like you. They want podcasts or songs on and all these things. And I'm like, if I'm into a song and I'm cleaning, I love it on.
Yeah.
Or hanging out, I'm okay. But a lot of the times, if just a podcast is on or a song is on, I get stressed out. I'm like, so I actually don't really listen to podcasts very much. But I think
It's
they're boring.
fine.
But this one's good.
A lot of them can be. Yours is great. Yeah.
Yeah, this one is like really different.
We're
Never
anointing it.
been done before. All new things.
Yeah.
Wait, I wanted to get back to what we were saying about how you were like, I'm not trying to tune out, but I'm living like within art or something like that, because I did feel like you were really powerful in our day job together, where we had like some managers that I would describe as not ideal.
To put it lightly.
Do I have trauma? Maybe. Do I at my new jobs like tell people 10 times when I'm going to the bathroom, even though I'm a 37-year-old woman? Maybe. But I did feel like you had a really great way of kind of not being fucked with. And I feel like that might apply to all of the different kinds of energies right now. Not completely. I'm not saying you're like impenetrable or like nothing's affecting you.
Of course.
Of course it is. But I did feel like you weren't bowing down to the powers that be in the way that for some reason I might have like the people pleasery thing going on.
I think we all do in some way. I think that there have been times where I felt the need to kind of just like, just cater to someone else's needs and wants. Like, in my personal life, I want everyone around me to be happy. I want everyone around me to feel comfortable. And that's really important to me. By entering spaces where there's power dynamics, like a job, like a day job, I can't fuck with that. Like, that's just, I will never take someone telling me that in some imaginary role they have authority over me to heart. Like, it's hard for me to take that seriously. I'm just like, what are you going to do if I just go and do this and not tell you? You know what I mean? Like, what's going to happen? Like, are we going to cry? Is the world going to crumble? Like, what's going to happen if I don't kind of bend to your unreasonable demands in some way?
Maybe you had good parents.
Yeah, I have great parents.
Not that I don't have good parents, but maybe you had some security with your parents that or that you felt an unconditional love.
Yes.
That you feel like, oh, if I displease this boss or something, nothing is going to happen.
Well, I think
you're ungovernable.
Yeah, well, with parents specifically, I think that I did experience a very beautiful, unconditional type of love, and still do to this day. I'm so grateful for them in my life, but I also have so much respect for them. So when I respect you on top of feeling mutual love from you, you will get like the warmest, kindest version of me,
It's so interesting because I feel like we live in such a time where people who aren't earning respect are demanding it.
Yeah, of course.
And there are a lot of people in this country or the world or whatever who I feel like are the me in our day job, but like for like they're trying to, I don't know, they're trying to get a dad to say good job.
They want a daddy.
They want a daddy.
Yeah.
And Trump is daddy.
Trump is their daddy. It's disgusting. Yeah, and what I will say, this is kind of a separate tangent, but I swear it'll make sense eventually.
On this podcast, you never have to make sense.
It's fine. We're going in multiple different directions.
Does this universe make sense right now? No. Why
No.
should I have to?
We don't need to make sense. It's fine. This is the way that I just communicate. I feel like this is my favorite form of communication, which is just going in 3,000 different directions. My brain operates in that way. But I will say, like, a narcissist hates to see me coming. You know what I mean? And I think that it's because they want you to abide by these power structures, which are created in work environments. They're created in politics. They're created in literally just existing in your body, gender, race, class, everything. And someone who is exhibiting like narcissistic or sociopathic kind of like tendencies in their lives wants you to believe that that's the rule of thumb, And I've had so many of them just meet me and instantly feel like repelled by me because I would just kind of like almost look through them. And I think that, and I'm not calling most bosses or managers or whatever narcissists, but I think when you step into a role and you take it that seriously, where you don't care about the emotionality or the emotional world of people that are working with you or collaborating with you in some way, you're exhibiting narcissistic traits. It's not because you are one, it's because
the role you're in is kind of bad for your brain in that way,
right.
In the way where you're like, I have to be successful, and in order to do that, I've got to put aside empathy or whatever, or like the human fact, which I actually, even from a business perspective, don't think is true. Like
I don't think it's true.
I think that's a bad managerial stance.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It completely deteriorates any form of morale. And like, also, I can't blame a lot of people. Like, my levels of empathy also extends to understanding that we also live in a world right now that applauds narcissistic tendencies.
That's so true, yeah.
I don't know what it is about American culture or whatever, quote unquote, but like, because what is that really? But I don't know what it is, but narcissism and, just this cold willingness to completely destroy people around you in order to advance in life is applauded here. And I will never understand it. I don't fuck with it. I feel disturbed by it, really.
Well, it's because, like you said earlier, like, you know how to be a person, where it's like you don't need to get ahead because you'd rather just be a person.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
like I
mean, it's funny.
You're not needing to get ahead to be a person.
Right.
Like,
right.
You're not like, I'll do whatever it takes.
For what? To get where?
I kind of feel, I have this feeling where I'm like, I wish that billionaires could, like, I could have a camp for billionaires and just show them my day. And I'll be like, yeah, we come over here and we get some coffee. And then we go and we talk to the crows. And it's like having a good day. Yeah. I'm like, is the coffee they drink really that much? But I have good coffee.
I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is. But
I got a view of the hills you can see.
It's a gorgeous view.
See, you can have a view. I'm not a millionaire. I'm like, love a hill.
It's funny because, like, simultaneously, like, I say these things and I understand emotion and, like, have that emotional intelligence or whatever, but I also feel very alien in this world. you know, maybe that has to do with my transness. Maybe it has to do with, you know, the artistic spirit or whatever it is. But I have never been comfortable anywhere that I've
Mm.
been in my life. There's not a single space or interaction. It doesn't matter how close you are to me, how much I love you, whatever it
Mm.
is, I still feel really removed.
Do you think that's because of like American culture and the way we've set it up to just be like so brutal and othering and not safe and like narcissistic? Or do you
Mm.
think it's like a cosmic earthly thing that you're not connecting to?
I think it's a cosmic earthly thing. I
Okay.
think that I'm just like, sometimes I'm just like, where the fuck did I come from? Like, I have no idea. And I hear people's conversations and the way that people interact, and people can bear a lot of things in daily interactions, but to me, it feels unbearable. Like, I was not meant to do this whole, like, how are you? Oh my God, the weather. Like, I can't do it. Like, I start immediately talking about something that makes a lot of people extremely uncomfortable. And, and people will humor me. Like, I think I can like deliver it in a way that feels personable or like charming maybe, but
I think people love that.
what do you
I
mean?
think people love kind of cutting to real stuff. I love both. I love small
Mhm.
talk, and then I love if someone's like, "I'm going to open up. I'm going to go there. I'm going to give you a real
Yeah.
opinion or a different thought." But I'm also like, "Yeah, it is windy outside. That's true. That's also true. I can see that." I'll talk
Mhm.
about wind, what direction it's coming from, what the temperature of it is, all this. But
Yeah.
it, someone can't. I'm working at a restaurant right now,
Mhm.
and someone just like started talking about the fires and COVID trauma and all that stuff. And I was like, that's
Mhm.
kind of why I love a diner, because it can be either one, where it's like,
Totally.
hey, real talk,
Yeah.
I know you're making minimum wage. I've got my coffee. I'm sitting at the counter.
Yeah.
Like it does have some room to just be like, wow, things are fucked.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that it can go in any direction you want to take it. And I will say, like, don't get me wrong, like, I will humor conversations around the weather and like, wow, it's just like, isn't spring so nice this year? You know what I mean? Like, I can
It is
humor
nice.
those conversations, but it needs to lead into something deeper, or we just need to cut it short. And I just need
Yeah.
to like move on with my day because I will always say this, like, I feel like I'm my own best company. I
Mm,
love my own thoughts and my interactions with myself. Like, when I'm fully alone at my house, I'll completely just act like there's like multiple me's hanging out with me.
that's cute. I want
It,
that to be a music video of
it
yours.
could be fun,
Just like
yeah.
having a little pillow fight or
Just, you know, like painting each other's nails
maybe
and,
just a little kiss. Just a little
no,
experimenting,
no.
but all innocent.
We're not having a myth of narcissist moment. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, but it's more just like, you know, me bouncing off ideas with me and just saying what I think about the world, you know, and them just being like, well, you know, you could have done this differently. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like this interesting, that concept of like the angel and the devil on the shoulders
Mm,
in a cartoon was always really fascinating to me because even as a kid, I felt like I was interacting with myself in multiple ways, whether it was maybe it's my Leo, but like through a reflection. I love talking to myself in the mirror. And like that's like a very physical manifestation because like I'm visually seeing myself, but I can also picture myself just sitting on the couch and just telling me something, you know, and
wow, that's actually really cool.
it's
I
fun.
think
Yeah.
that that's like a strength that you have this good relationship with yourself and you're like in tune with yourself. I think that I have survived all my discomfort, which I
Hmm.
actually am getting more comfortable, but I was
Yeah.
in some ways, but I was one of these kids that never had any friends growing up.
Hmm.
And that's why it was so fun to talk to you at work because I don't take those things for granted. I'm like, a friend, finally. Um, but
Yeah.
it was partially because we moved a lot, and but
Mm.
I was like a big fantasizer. always having me in in different situations, saving someone or being famous or some romantic fantasy. I
Mm-hmm.
was big on like playing little movies
Oh,
in
same.
my
Yeah.
head.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what you're talking about is a little bit different and a little bit more grounded and like
I think it's pretty similar. I mean, like it's kind of both, right? Like you can picture a future version of you like doing certain things or kind of being acknowledged for something or creating like what you would call like your magnum opus or like whatever it is.
alternative timelines, me visiting
Yeah.
me.
And also like kind of like manifesting. Like I'm huge on manifestation. Like I do think that sometimes even like the things that I don't want, I can speak into existence. And I I tell people all the time, just like, just don't put all of your worries out there just so vocally, as if it's like truth, you know? I don't like, I know we'll talk about this later, but that's kind of a huge theme of the EP that I created. It's just like not putting worries out there as if it's the truth. Learning to take a step back and just being like, what is actually happening here? And believing in yourself enough to like get through things in life, you know?
Yeah, I heard that the human mind skews negative as a way of like being like, oh, if
Of
this happens,
course.
then I can handle
Hmm.
it this way. But it does seem like a lot of us are collectively imagining worst case scenario, and
Totally.
we're kind of making it
Especially
happen.
right now.
So
Yeah.
what are you manifesting? Like, what is your opposite
Mm.
of that? Opposite of your worries that you're trying to turn this the ship from our most negative
Hmm.
fantasies.
I think before I can manifest anything on a personal level, I do always want to focus on a collective level. I want us all to liberate ourselves from the the anchors that are fascism and, you know, just colonization, imperialism, like just everything that pretty much the US government stands for. And just on a global level, I think that power creates these dynamics. And it's interesting to me that we even need power in order to exist as a society. I think that collaboration, and this is coming from someone who, even on like my personal day to day, I like to do things by myself. And then I have to remind myself that that is a product of like individualism rooted in white supremacist ideals, you know?
Yeah, and it's more comfortable.
And it's
There's
more
no pushback.
comfortable. I won't get disappointed if I
Yeah.
rely on myself. I hate feeling like I'm asking too much from people, you
Yeah,
know?
this is a problem in why individualism is doing so well and then why I relate to
Hmm.
it. Like I'm like there's a reason I'm in my apartment alone all the time.
I know.
It's because we got some of us some got a little bit bad at being honest or showing up for each other or moving through disappointment or feeling
Right.
safe or whatever.
And also, it runs into this almost arbitrary and disingenuous system of politeness that we've created too, because instead of expressing to someone, hey, I'm a little disappointed by the outcome of this, or I wish that you would meet me halfway here, the mentality becomes very self sabotaging and it becomes, well, I'll just do it myself, you know? And I shouldn't have relied on them anyway. I should have never have asked for help. You never ask for, you know, like I'll tell myself those things. And I think a lot of people will do this when they feel disappointment instead of just in a healthy way feeling comfortable enough to express to that person how you felt betrayed or disappointed.
Ugh. Yeah, this is a big part of my little therapy time right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my some of my next goals.
I think we're
Yeah.
all, you know, underneath that pressure and that feeling. You know, I feel this all the time. And it causes me to want to, you know, recede back and just be reclusive and, you know, focus on how to make situations better without the help of anyone, but community is actually a really beautiful thing
I
that
know. I
exists.
crave it. I really am craving it
Yeah.
more and more. Cyclovia, do you know that event? The one where they close
Mm-mm.
down the streets
Is it a
and
bicycle
yeah,
thing?
it's a
Okay.
bicycle thing. It's going to be right around here on Sunday and I'm like, it's going to be me just biking around with everyone and laughing. Ha 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 ha. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. I'm really craving like a more communal vibe.
Do you feel that in like I know it's like at a job, but do you ever feel that in like the restaurant or like food
I
kind of
do feel it. I
environments?
think it's been really working for a restaurant's been kind of positive for me, to be honest,
Good.
because I was working like the day of the fires, and we were the only restaurant in the neighborhood that had power,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
school had been canceled, so it was just crazy busy. Like we weren't managing, to be honest, because like on a weekday, we don't staff up randomly in case there's a fire.
Right.
So, but everyone was just like so nice, and I just saw everyone just like, like trying to give their kids like a normal little breakfast, and like people were like kind of laughing, and people were being so nice, and like obviously tipping well because it's like we're showing up to work during a disaster, and
Right.
feeding them when their stoves are off or whatever, and it's just like the opportunity to just be like, here's your milkshake, here's your toast, here's your
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then have them receive it. I have that, the repetition of that has given me, I've had jobs like this when I was younger, but I think being older, I have like more of an appreciation of that like act
Right.
of service.
I can see
Whereas,
that.
like, when you're like in your early 20s and you're hungover, you're just like, ugh, leave me alone. I'm thinking about this hookup I had last night and fuck
That
this.
embarrassing thing I said.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then someone's like, can I have more cream? And you're just like, ugh, stop it.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we're searching for, I think a lot of us are feeling the same way where it's like, how can we slowly steer the ship back towards community and away from fascism? Like, it's kind of maybe a
Totally.
healing thing, but
And to remind each other that, we can and will find each other in these places where they want us to stay kind of isolated. And so long as we are completely separated from each other, there's no organizing happening. There's no ability to kind of show up in numbers. I mean, like, even going into concepts around like protesting and like the consistency around it and not being like a liability if you show up at a protest, like really understanding like what people need on a grassroots level when it comes to organizing comes from talking to people, and asking questions and, just to kind of bring it back, like that's what I'm manifesting on a global level, at least starting with this fucking country right now, you know?
yeah.
Um, and just on a personal level, I think that, everything about me is informed by feeling like alien and a total weirdo in this world. I've made a lot of friends and connections in my lifetime, but it doesn't stop me from feeling completely alone with
Totally.
where I'm at, and how I feel and what I'm thinking in my imagination and what I want to innovate. And I think that I'm in a place right now where I don't, I want to manifest the need to not be so hungry for approval via being understood. Um, I used to take feeling misunderstood as like devastation and heartbreak and why can't they just get it? Like why can't people just understand what I'm trying to say or like what I'm feeling or like what I'm trying to show or offer, whatever it is. And now I feel like you can leave things on the table, offer it, and people can take what they want and hopefully leave a gift right back, you
And
know?
sometimes they don't take it right away, but it like
Yeah.
it's like a little seed. And I say that because that's been true for me. I think about times when I misunderstood people or they were trying to
Hmm.
teach me something and I was like, whatever.
For
Like
sure.
I had some resistance or some defensiveness or whatever it is. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could go back in time and tell everyone like, oh, it got in there like it did.
Yeah.
You never know what effect you're having. You can't know. That's the thing. You can't be like controlling about
Ooh.
the way. I'm not calling you controlling.
No. Because
But,
you just nailed it. I'm a control freak. Yeah.
you can't control how anyone's going to receive anything, what they're going to think, what they're going to do. You just put it out and then let the cards fall as they may.
That is a lesson I'm trying every day to fully grasp. It's funny, I was telling my boyfriend the other day, I was like, I take public transit to work and stuff. And when I'm on the bus, I'm always in the least fucked up way possible. Like, I hope this isn't like turned I hope this isn't like misunderstood, but I'll turn people into chess pieces like on the bus. And I'm like, if only you would stand over here and this one would move that way just a little bit, then people would have easier access in and out. Mm-hmm. And then maybe the flow could be better. And I'll just like rearrange people in my mind constantly.
It's hard because you're not wrong.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's what's hard about it because I drive.
Yeah.
I usually drive everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, listen, I understand traffic science. I'm a scientist. Yeah. Everyone listen to me. Whereas people think that they're the ones that are like, yeah, let's go here. I'm making things faster by cutting you off and doing this. I'm like, we would all be going faster if you just flowed with it. Like,
how many times have you seen that one asshole just swerving lanes crazy. And then you end up at the same stoplight as them?
Best feeling.
Like, what?
And then you like look over next to them at the red light and you're just like, you fool.
It's just like a shaking my head.
Did you hear how evil my laugh was?
Yes,
just now?
I love that. It's brilliant.
Well, we're nearing the end, and I want to talk about your new album
this went by
and
so
single
fast.
really quick, and just like where can people get it? What's the inspiration? What can you do while listening to it? What's the vibe? What is it we're putting out? Why should we listen?
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'll start with the name. I have an EP out right now. It's titled 620. And the single off of that EP is titled Paranoid. And it's interesting because a lot of things that we covered today kind of tie into what the themes of that EP as a whole and that track are kind of about. I wrote Paranoid kind of in a place of desperation around my own obsessive thought patterns and how sometimes I have a really hard time separating reality from my anxious thoughts. One of my major anxious thoughts is abandonment. I will tell myself that everyone around me one day is just going to leave me and that everything around me is going to fall apart. Like the whole foundation of what I believe to be true in my daily existence could just fall apart like that. And the light at the end that I've been focusing on in my music is me wanting to say to myself, even if that does happen, you've lived through so much trauma in your life and so many different forms of disappointment, violent experiences, grief, misery, just all of the feelings have come my way in this lifetime. I lived through it and I'll be okay. And I need to trust in my connections to people and in connections to humanity in this world that I'll live through this one too if it ever happens. Whatever it is that I'm anxious and paranoid about, I'll live through it, And I think that if like music can be a spell, and I think that the spell work in Paranoid is you'll live through this one too, kind of thing.
I love that.
Thank you. I forgot what your other questions were beyond what's it about.
Honestly, I feel like that was a perfect answer. It was more of a like choose your own question
Yeah.
than like a barrage of like, it wasn't an inner.
I heard a few things and I was like, okay, so let's focus on the title and then there's this. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to get across with the single. And the whole EP as a whole is me just expressing to myself that what you believe to be true is also something that is a toxic trait about you sometimes. Like what I've gotten into, I've tried to self-sabotage before just because I convinced myself that something that wasn't happening was actually happening. In my interpersonal connections, in, even just like the way that a stranger might be thinking about me, I've looked at them and I'm like, that person wants to hurt you. And I will tell myself those things. And then in turn, I start having visions of me hurting that person. And it's just like unwanted, intrusive, negative thoughts that I'm working to kind of like sift through and understand where they come from. We don't just have things pop into our brains for no reason. It's usually stemming from a memory, from something stored in our muscles and somewhere in the file cabinets in the back of our minds,
It's like an instinct to keep yourself safe, but the dial is turned up too far.
Right.
Where it's like paranoid.
It's paranoid.
But it is coming from your mind and body and spirit trying to help. It's trying to help you. But what I tell myself all the time when I'm having a thought about what someone's doing or thinking or what's going to happen, I always say, you don't know. You don't know. Jessica, you don't know. And I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think our wires can get crossed with fight, flight, or fawn, or whatever it is. Is fawn the third one?
I'm not sure. I'm a freeze.
Freeze, fawn.
I think fawn is a thing.
Yeah, it's fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And I think sometimes the wires can get crossed when, thoughts are involved. And, survival instincts can be very intuitive and very, it comes from somewhere very archaic, but our minds are constantly evolving and we're constantly thinking. So those wires can get crossed so easily. And it's important to, take stock and just like separate what that is versus like the reality of your situation all the time. And yeah.
I love it. I think your EP is so good. I think you're such a brilliant musician and visual artist and a good clerk. And
oh, I couldn't ask for more. Yeah.
And I'll link all the places people can buy your album. And I hope everyone listens to it everywhere. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on Some Timeline. Don't forget to email us your thoughts, questions, songs, whatever, at sometimelinepod@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 747-666-7005. Thanks to our sound producer, Seth Hover, our musical composer, Jeff Traeger, our podcast artist, AJ Howard, and I'll see you next time on the next part of Some Timeline.